accepted.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the tech capital of the world. My name is Bobby Davis, CEO, founder of Coder Foundry, and I'm not an AI programmer, Kevin, but we're going to use some tools today.
No, people are saying you are an AI, and then they're saying that I'm an AI. Rich Raid is saying that I'm an AI. I promise I'm not. Ask me a question. I promise. Anything trivia, I'll probably get right. Better than an AI anyway. Because, you know.
I'm a certified prompt engineer. That's what I am. I got my certificate last night.
So one of you guys made a cool little, I can't remember who it was now. I played with it a little bit, but the cool little quiz app in Discord, and it was a cool idea, right? So it used AI, and it made basically you gave it a topic, and it made a quiz, 3 questions on a topic. So I asked it to make me a Star Wars quiz, okay? just so you're aware, a Star Wars quiz. I got all 3 correct, okay?
Right.
The bot, the AI, only got 1 correct. Like, it says like, it was like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I'm not wrong. Like, I know I'm not wrong. Like, I was like, oh, okay. So while the
Ford did play
good,
Han Solo, bot.
Exactly. While the concept is good, like in practice, it's like it couldn't get trivia right. But I like the idea. It was a cool app. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Crazy. So we decided today. So here's the genesis of this. We were going to make a video about this. It was like a pre-recorded video. But then we're like, we want to show the whole thing kind of warts and all for this. So we decided we were going to make a web page. We wanted to show making a web page with just AI tools. And the reason we're doing this is because if you've been on the internet in the last couple of months, like I looked around, there's people on there on Twitter, on everywhere being like, man, AI's like, developers are gone, like AI's it. I've made $1 million making a web pages for gyms or whatever it is. Or it's like,
I watched a video this morning. I have made an AI circular printing machine. You know, so he's got an AI loop printing machine, money printing machine. That's what he called it.
Okay.
The genesis was he was selling prints on Etsy with Midjourney. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So,
there's nothing new there. That's the thing.
You just assume that your AI generated prints are going to sell, you know, not to mention, I was thinking the whole time, like, are those print quality? I mean, so, you know, anyway.
Yeah, and they're not, by the way.
Right, yeah, you can't print
there are ways to upscale them. I've seen some stuff on like upscaling it for print, which you could do. But still, it's not like the allure of, we've talked about this a lot recently. Bobby and I've talked privately about this a lot, but the allure of free money is a thing that we see so often across a lot of different places. Everybody wants the get-rich-quick scheme. The free dollar is the allure here. When you see people that are like, man, make $10,000 a month with AI, it's like, no, the AI isn't the part that's making you $10,000. You could make $10,000. It's the hard work that you have to put in to make the money that is the thing. It's not. It's stupid.
So it's went from like AI is amazing to it's going to replace developer jobs. Look at generated code. Then it went to it's going to replace all human work. Then it was like now we're going to be immortal. And then the last one recently is like it's just going to end all of humanity. It's over. Just go ahead and start digging that bunker out because the robots are coming right away. So AGI is here. Some guy makes an auto prompter on ChatGPT and GitHub, and they're saying, "Oh, that's AGI." Like
AGI
like AGI. It is either or it's not. It just means that it can feed itself a prompt. I mean, so what? I mean,
So what we noticed a lot of these people that are saying these things. They're like, "Oh, I built this site." Like, okay, here's what they don't show you. They either don't show you the final result. They just say, "I built this thing," or sometimes they do show you the final result, but they never show you the process. So, having messed with this a little bit, we are highly suspicious of the fact that they used AI to make it without any coding knowledge. Because you're going to see today, we were going to, like I say, we were going to make this as a pre-recorded video, but we decided we wanted to leave everything in, and it got kind of long, and then it's kind of it's more interesting when you guys are here to ask questions and see it and kind of talk about questions. It. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as we go through, that's kind of what we're going to do. So Bobby's going to build a web page, and then I'm going to add some graphics to it, and then we're going to see what we get. This is all, and this is real time.
So the first thing that we thought of, what website should we make? And we first started talking about this, and I know this is a shock to everyone. I was eating tacos when we were talking about it. So it's like, hey, let's make a taco website, because the taco joint I go to in Kernersville, which has the best tacos in Kernersville, their website's awful. Like, it is just awfully bad. So like, and I was like, well, surely AI can make one better than that one, right?
So that's what we're going to try.
That's
what we're going to try.
We're
going to use a fictitious name for the taco place, though, right? Are we still calling it?
Yeah.
What are we still
calling it?
Tacotopia? Okay.
Yeah. So we used AI to generate our names. Me and Kevin did it on both. We said, give us 20 taco restaurant names. Tacotopia came up twice in one of our searches.
Yeah.
The other ones were just worse. So we'll call it Tacotopia.
There you go. And Paul's here too, looks. That's cool. Because we were talking about this last night on the podcast. We recorded the next Not Null podcast last night that comes out next Monday. So we talked about the fact that we're doing this today. So there's like a time loop here now. This is cool. So,
that's what we're gonna do. Let's code something up. We can say hello or anybody real quick. Or
there's loads of people here. Everyone's here today. Bree's here, Ridge Raider, Mikey, Quicks, Andy's here, Nemo's here, Tully's here, Lala, Troy.
I think let's show Tully's quote. He wins the internet for the day. That's funny.
What's this one? The quote?
Yeah. He says what our new motto should be.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. Come with me if you want to code. Yeah. I like it.
That's funny. Okay, I'm going to put you on here then, because you're going to share your screen, right?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen here. This is sort of low tech here because of the way this tool works.
Yeah, not really. I think it's good.
It's okay. So let's see here and switch. All right. So Kevin, you'll just have to help me. I can't see the show anymore. All I can see is my screen now.
That's fine.
So
it's only me here.
Okay. So hopefully everyone can tell me if you can't see it, but like everyone can see what I've got here is ChatGPT 4. So I'm actually paying for ChatGPT, which is kind of odd in itself. But I wanted to use 4 because of what it says about 4. It just says that it has more reasoning skills. It's perfect for logical things. Right here, it says reasoning, speed, and consciousness, which is a weird term that they put in there. That this thing is conscious. Yeah. So 3 isn't as good as 4, except even the speed thing. I think if you go up here, the default, the speed is really fast on this one, but 4 is kind of slow but smarter. That kind of thing going on. All right. So the other thing I noticed right away when you do this is I've only get 25 messages every 3 hours. So right off the bat, Kevin, when I looked at this the first time, I was like, okay, if I was really just using this to generate websites for restaurants, I would have a problem right off the bat because I'm going to bump up against this messages a lot.
Yep.
So first off, let's just put our first prompt in there and just see what happens here. Yeah. So I've created this prompt ahead of time, and after this, we'll just go through to see what we get. The reason I did it was because if you're trying to do this at home, this is part of the prompt, create the HTML code. So it creates it to where you can actually use it. So let's just see what happens here. So it's going to think for a second, and it is slow. See, it didn't do it. Look at that, Kevin.
Oh, just to point out, by the way, just so you recognize this here, it's conciseness, not consciousness. So how concise it is, not consciousness.
Okay. That's all. Conciseness, all right.
Which makes sense.
All right.
No, Ben, not at all petty. That's
not petty at all. So like it's really kind of slow. Just to let you know, we're on a fiber connection here. It's like 500 gig up and down. So.
I'll tell you the first thing I'm noticing that it's done here is different to other ones that I've seen before, is it didn't put it in that little code window. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm
not
sure why.
Which we've noticed sometimes it'll put it in the code window, sometimes it won't. You can literally give it the same prompt and it'll give you a different result, totally. So sometimes it gives you the prompt window or the code window, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, we'll just copy and paste it, right?
Yeah, we'll try.
You close that
it's going through and it's making
up in the top. Can you close that little browser window? There you go.
area. So as you can see here, then this is what took us so long in making this video. Our video was going to be like 3 hours long because of ChatGPT is just slower than dirt. You know.
So you can see, I mean, it's writing a whole bunch of lines.
It's making something.
It's making something. Oh, here we go. So it's now.
Look.
Now
see, it did this before. Yeah, it doesn't know what the language is, so it's just trying to put some stuff in the code box now. It's kind of weird.
I see the language up there, actually, at the top left-hand corner of that code box changing.
It doesn't know what the language is.
Okay.
So the better question is HTML a programming language? Maybe we should debate that. I mean, so, you know.
That's not.
Someone can say, Bobby, you're not coding. You're using HTML. You're not coding. It's not a programming language.
Well, we tried to keep it simple. That's one of the things. I'm sure if we make this more complex than this, it will really, really fall apart.
Yeah.
This is taking a minute. So while this is doing this too, you've been
got any jokes, Kevin?
Well, you've been messing with GitHub Copilot too, right? Which is kind of puts it closer to the code. Does that make the experience any better?
Well, you'll see Copilot when I'm using VS Code because I still have it turned on to like what it does.
Okay.
We'll see it in a second. I don't have Copilot X, which allows the ChatGPT interface inside the IDE, which could make this better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say create an HTML document. Maybe I can get it to do it.
Okay, so it's saying it can't create the document, but it can provide you with the code.
Right. So here's the thing. There it goes. All right. So here's the thing. We'll let it do it. Right off the bat, when this says this will replace developers, right off the bat, I'm going to have to put this into a code editor to get it to work. And this is really just an HTML document. So we're not talking about a server-side language or JavaScript or PHP or anything else like that. Look at that. It didn't even do the whole thing.
Well, here's what it did. It didn't take the context of your original prompt into consideration when you asked it to put it into an HTML document.
And when I make jokes about yelling at ChatGPT, this is where my my blood pressure is starting to go up. Like what? Okay, so
bearing in mind this is like your fourth prompt or something, third prompt. So you know, you only get 20.
I'm going to run out here. We're going to just create an HTML document.
Try the original prompt again.
Restaurant. It won't work.
Okay.
I've tried that before. Once it does it, it just stays with what it's got.
Okay.
HTML document.
It's going to give you the same error, I'm guessing. Say, I can't do the document, but here's the HTML.
Yeah. I wish there was a less talkative mode where it would just do the thing.
Let's just talk about this comment too. If you ask the right questions and know some code, you can get pretty complex with GPT. You're going to see as we do this, getting complex with this is like mind-blowingly bad.
Yeah.
We've messed with this a couple of times, and trust me, you can get complex, but complex also really, really gets confusing.
Yeah. All right.
What have we
I
got
think
this
it did
time?
a different one. It did a different site.
Yeah, of course it did. We know that's how it works. We know every time you ask it, you're going to get a different prompt.
You're
going to get a different response to the same prompt.
All right, so just stop. Stop. I'm going to try this again, but I'm going to change the keyword today. And let's see here.
You could have just done regenerate response, by the way, and it would have done the same thing.
It's just not keeping up with. It has Alzheimer's today. It's not. Its short-term memory is kind of gone. You know.
Okay, so here's another point that John's making. Here's the thing: not if you know the right questions. In my experience, at least, isn't the point of this you can interact with it in human coding, like in a natural language way? If you have to know the syntax to interact with it, doesn't that make it crap?
Well,
to me, it does.
Yeah, so here's a more nuanced point is if you have to know about prompt engineering to do this, I'm just going to pick HTML to know the language.
That would be my point. Exactly. If you're going to pick a syntax to use, whether it be the language syntax of ChatGPT or the language of HTML, right, I'm going to use a template and then just HTML. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to pick HTML and do this. So now we've got it in our code box. So we've got 21 prompts left, Kevin. So we're going to run out of here.
That's okay.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
I
can do this in 25 prompts. I can do that in 7 prompts. I can do that in 1 prompt, Kevin.
Yeah.
1 prompt.
So yeah, it does take some, well, that is one of the points. It does take some like nuance to get these questions right, to get the correct answer. But that, I think that's a flaw in the system. That's not a selling point to me. That's not to say like, man, if you get it right, if you say the thing right, then it'll give you the right answer. And that kind of is the same with you'll see it with the image generation side of stuff too. It's not I don't see it as a positive thing. I want to be able to say, like you did, create this HTML page and it could spit this thing out. Because that's the promise.
I'm willing to learn here. If they're out there, the guys are online and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this wrong," let me know. I'm not saying that I'm a certified prompt engineer. I was joking around, but like to me, the way that I'm looking at this is this. So I want you to understand like kind of my perspective on this. When I'm generating a website for somebody, I want to focus on what I need to build, not how I build it. And so like I've built skills over a number of years. I feel like I'm Liam Neeson now. I've built up skills for a number of years. But I can do it pretty quickly. So I can crank this out pretty quickly using other kind of tools. Here, I felt like I was doing it. And this is the other thing that it does. Well, look what it did. It just quit. Sometimes it'll just quit. And I think there's a limit to the amount of text it can bring back.
Right.
And it just didn't finish. So far.
Where did it get to?
It just not even close. I mean, like it just doesn't work. All right. So let me try to get this one out. All right. So let me get part of this. Okay, get the header. And now at this point, I'm coding. So like,
hold on, Bobby. You can have a problem. You can have a problem with this because if you go back to this original version, context is now out of whack. It doesn't know that's the document you're now working with. It knows the last one that it's generated. So all right. You can't.
So let's take this one, and
you need to ask it to finish the last one. Can you just provide me the rest of the code or something like that? Yeah, Martin says there's a 25,000 character limit. That's why it's...
And so 25,000 characters is not a lot in coding land. I'm just telling you right now, like when you start, especially when you're looking at HTML documents, there's a lot of characters in these things. It's gonna fail again. So I'm gonna have to do this in sections because it'll just run into it.
Wow, is it even going to get past that first part? Oh, it is, right? It's still writing.
It might, isn't it? Yeah, it's still writing.
That's the long line.
And this is, I can tell you this is wrong right here, this Bootstrap link.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. They put the script tag in the top.
Try a new... Awesome. No, I don't want to do that. I was going to say we could try 3.5, but we know 3.5, the results aren't as good. And someone would say, well, you used 3.5 just because it was faster.
I want to use the new Bootstrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could try 3.5, but... All right, so while this is generating, is there any questions out there people have?
No.
So we don't watch ChatGPT just come up. Worst demo ever. I was at least hoping we would get to the HTML page. I've tried this a bunch. I'm surprised it's having this kind of problems. Usually it has we at least get
something, don't we?
Yeah. So the thing is about replacing the devs. So when you start thinking about this, and the people that are talking about this, you're saying, hey, start a company that could generate restaurants websites for people in your town. You can make $100,000 a year. Those types of people out there. You don't need a developer. Just use ChatGPT to generate the document. You can see right away that it's not doing that. And
So
if you really think about this and you say, I'm going to find the random salesperson or the random guy with an idea that doesn't know how to code, he watches this YouTube video. Can he start a company using ChatGPT to build websites? And the answer is no. Because what I'm getting ready to do, if we even can get it to generate, you'll see that I have to know a lot about HTML development. Now, you guys out there that have built HTML websites before, it's just going to stop, Kevin.
yep. Let's try 3.5 because people in chat are saying I'm using 3.5 and it's great and it does a lot of stuff. So let's try 3.5.
Okay,
By the way, Paul says so. This is the point. This is what Paul says. He says I use ChatGPT as my rubber duck to chat about thinking through how to solve problems that I'm struggling with. This is how it needs to be used. That's the best case for it. It's a tool. It's a thing that you can use to kind of think through problems and kind of use. But that's not what these people online are saying.
Yeah, so I'm going to make a new file over here. So right off the bat, I'm in VS Code here, and so I'm going to make a new file called index.html. And if you don't know, this is so that I can just like view it. And I'm going to paste what I have in here. Here's what's scary about this. If you look through it and you didn't know about anything about HTML, you would assume that this is done.
Right, it is definitely not done.
And you can see that the section tag's not there. It's also missing the ending body tag and the ending HTML tag. So that's a problem. I mean, it really is a problem. If you don't know how to fix it, and you can see even me, I'm trying to make this thing do it. I don't have these prompts memorized to make this not work. I'm trying to make it work because I would at least like to make this kind of work. So we have a menu section and a contact section. Give me the contact section for the restaurant. Maybe it'll generate that. And then we can break it up and get around the 25K limits. So when you do this, now we're modifying an HTML file at this point. And so you have to know.
You have to understand the structure, right?
Yeah, how to structure. Now, us teaching people to code for almost going on a decade now, we know that inserting things inside of HTML document, especially for early on learners, is a problem. They're like, okay, where do my divs start? Where do they end? Those kind of things. So
it's a big issue as a newbie in this. It's a big issue to figure out like what's a closing of a section, the beginning of a section, and then people always tend to put things in the wrong spaces.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
web page. Boom. What do we got? Well,
not
you haven't
yet.
closed off the body tag, right? Or the main tag.
Yeah, I got to close the main tag. So I'm just gonna have to do this. Like it just doesn't know
for the sake of doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, and with the body and /HTML. So what you saw just there is that's Copilot finishing those things out for me.
Okay, nice.
Kind of cool. So I think if we do this now, we have.
So here you go. Martin's making a good point. He says, so it remembers what you gave it previously. Yeah, that's kind of one of the powers of this, but it's also one of the things that you'll notice as soon as we go through. It's also kind of bad, and I'll tell you why. Because what we're doing here, what Bobby just did, he closed off those tags, right? GPT at this point doesn't have the context for those closed tags because we just wrote them in. So unless you use exclusively GPT for everything, you could have asked GPT and said, hey, the tags aren't closed. Can you give me the closing tags too? But what a waste of time that is. It'll have your context then, but you could have just wrote it out anyway. So now you get this weird juxtaposition of being like partly human created, partly AI created.
Right. So I just ran it in live server here. So I'm using live server. Again, you got to understand, I know what VS Code is. I know what live server is. I know how to present a website on a page in a browser. Most people, if you've never coded before, have no idea how to do this because ChatGPT can't display the results. You can't check it to see it. You have to put it in a code editor and then run that from some type of web server for it to render. Now you can see right away that this is not a website worth anything. This is pretty bad.
Hold on, just to.
Now I asked it to use Bootstrap 5 and it didn't because, and we'll go look at the code here. It's pretty bad.
N17 Hero says our Tacotopia will shut down before this is finished.
Exactly.
and actually,
time's over.
Based on this website, we're not selling anything at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So right here, I know that these are wrong. And so if you know anything about Bootstrap, they have specific CDNs for different versions of it. And then they get rid of some of the CDNs as they increase. And so at one point in time, maybe the CDN was correct.
Well, look, it's a 5.3.0 alpha 1. So
Yeah,
you're right.
so
maybe a month ago that would have been valid and it would have worked. But because they've unsigned that now,
wrong.
it doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work. So I've got to go to Bootstrap and go find it. So I'm going to go find the correct CDNs. All right. Again, I have to know what a CDN is just to be able to do this. I just know that's how it works. If you've never used Bootstrap before, you may not know this, but I'm going to copy these into the clipboard. And I'm going to attempt to get ChatGPT to tell me to insert this back in my code. The Bootstrap CDN is wrong. Use this instead. I'm just going to space, Control V, and paste that in there. Maybe this works.
Oh, look, thank you. That's cool.
Thank you. It doesn't matter. If you yell at it, it won't matter. I want to.
Well, hold on. Don't say it won't matter because,
it might just give up.
It might remember that you yelled at it at some point in the future. As Paul says, always be nice to your AI. You never know. The day it becomes sentient, it's like, you remember when you yelled at me for that ChatGPT thing?
Yeah, so we're 30 minutes into this. I'm telling you, I could have been well on my way to building this in 30 minutes.
Yeah, Paul said he's already finished his site, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, he probably could have. Did he use AI or did he just type it in?
Oh, he typed it in, I'm sure he did.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the next thing. Maybe me using AI and you typing and we can race. Maybe we'll do that next week. We can race to see who. I know, I've got it in the bag. Me and ChatGPT. You kidding me? Come on. Easy stuff. Easy.
I have plugins. I could have made a landing page in a second with the Coder Foundry Bootstrap plugin. So, okay, it stopped. Let me try that again. Let me regenerate it. All right, let's go here. All right. This is weird too. Like sometimes it'll keep them up here. So we're gonna run out of prompts.
That's because that's because you asked it to regenerate it. So it's giving you version 1 and version 2.
I gotcha.
So you can always go back and look at the previous version. Yeah. Well, because you may decide that even though you've asked it to regenerate it, you may decide actually the first one was better and you want to go back to the first one. You always can.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it do its work here after this script gets written out. And then we'll see if we can actually make this work.
It should just write the header part here, right? Not the...
It should, but it won't. All right, so
I'm just stop it, just stop it generating and then just...
Well, I'm going to let it generate, so
okay.
I guess so we have consciousness here, I guess,
Okay.
So I'm going to copy these 2 lines at this point, or 3 lines, and I'm going to go back over here. So now I'm really getting into editing here. So I'm going to just get rid of these. I know they're wrong. So, and you're probably asking, how do you know that, Bobby? I'm like, because I've been doing it for a minute, Also, in general, it's a good practice to put your script tags at the bottom, which I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. All right. So let's see if our site's coming up. So now we have Bootstrap. So that's kind of cool.
There we go.
We have Bootstrap, man. Look at that.
So what do we got?
What are
the different elements that's made here?
That's winning website design award right there. That's going to get me an award.
So what do we got? I see some different elements. What do we have?
So I have a menu item here. This is a navbar from Bootstrap. And I have a menu section. I have a banner section. And then I've got a contact page.
Okay.
So right off the bat, if it's still talking, It's still talking. I'm just going to stop it because you're just taking too long, ChatGPT. All right, so I'm going to say add a footer section. I'm going to say only generate the footer because I've given up that it can code it all for me.
It takes too long.
Just insulted it. He apologized for any delay.
There you go. Just doing the footer. You didn't tell it what to put in the footer, though, did you? So what's it going to put in the footer?
No, so that's kind of cool. I mean, that's kind of neat. So let's, and it tells me where to put it. Kind of cool. All right. Yep. Right before the body and the HTML tag.
Okay.
So we're going to copy that. And we've got to know where that's at. So that's between, we got this section, and we'll put it after our main tag. Where it should go. So we can go look at our cool site now. And now we have this right here. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to make this sticky at the bottom, if I know how this works because I've been coding for a minute, like this would probably be in the middle of the page if this content didn't fill up the page, but we're going to leave it alone for now. All right. So we have a header, a navbar, a menu. And so now, Kevin, what I want is some images in this banner section here. So what I would like to have, if you can generate an image for us of something that would be appropriate for a banner image for our cool taco website.
We can totally do that. Let's go.
So let me go back and just screen here. And now I can man the chat while you walk. Right?
Yeah. Let's click back here. And then let me go here. You haven't changed your screen back, by the way. It's just your screen. There you go.
Then back.
There you go. Okay, so we'll make a banner with Midjourney, and I've got a little prompt to do this with. Let's go. I'm going to use this prompt.
And you're on the paid version of Midjourney too, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter though. It doesn't. There's no difference between the paid one and the free one, with the exception of the number of prompts you can use in here. That's all.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do
using it in private mode of some sort. This isn't just in Discord, right?
This is so it's through Discord, and this is through the Midjourney bot in Discord. So I'm not creating this in public or on a channel or anything. This is just straight to the bot, so you can do the same command straight to the bot, so only we can see it. So yeah.
So while you're doing that, while it's generating, I'm going to ask a question. Just put it in there in chat to see how many have seen ChatGPT fix code yet. Just wondering, or make code. And second, have you used Midjourney before? Just let us know if you've used it before. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to make I'm asking you to make a table at a Mexican restaurant filled with tacos, burritos, and other Mexican dishes. I want it to be photorealistic. I'm asking it to be an f1.5 35mm lens. So Midjourney allows me to be very specific about that in terms of like the camera that I want, the look that I want.
What is f1.5? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's the focal of the camera. Basically the t-stop like on a regular camera. So it's like it's stopped down, so it's got a lot of light coming into it, so you get a nice depth of field on it. Okay. So it understands what f1.5 is. It's a technical term for cameras, but it understands what that is. It understands what a 35mm lens is. V5 just is telling it to use the latest version of Midjourney. Mine's actually set to V5 anyway in settings, but you can tell it to use that. If it doesn't, it defaults back to V4, so previous version. And then I want the aspect ratio to be 16:9. Otherwise, it'll create a square. So I want it to be wider. I want it to be wider because we're using it as a banner. So let's see what we get. Now this is usually not as slow as ChatGPT. You'll kind of see it create real time here as this generates these images, depending on how fast it is.
Okay, so it's generating some images. And so I see a comment here from Gonzalez. He says,
I see that same comment.
Yeah. Pull that up and let me read that while this is generating.
I can't.
Okay. So much focus on what limitations it has, what it can't do, or what it does not imply. letting too much aside how amazing it is and how much can do that it is hard to believe it can. So this is my point. People are amazed with what it can do. My point is people have taken what it can do and put a magical leap into where it's going to end all human work. It's going to kill every human on the planet. It's going to make us millions of dollars by typing in prompts, and it just isn't the case. So now let's see what it did. Okay, it got some pictures.
Yeah, just talk about that same comment too. The reason that we're taking this approach to it, Gonzalo, is because there are people out here saying it can do magical things and it can make websites and it can make you $1 million overnight, and it's just not true. We think it's great, by the way. We think it's cool.
Yeah,
we use these tools.
Cool.
We think they're great. We think they're great as a tool, but they are just a tool. It's not. This isn't get rich quick. Yeah. It's just not. So
you said, can it upgrade .NET 5 code to .NET 6 or 7? Probably not.
Maybe, though. I don't know.
I don't know if it can merge the startup CS and the program CS. I'm not sure.
Yep. We're not downplaying how much it does. Look, it made some cool pictures. I think these are cool. I think this is great. These are good with me. So here's one of the things with this. We're not going to regenerate this. A couple of these are pretty good. I like this one. This top left-hand one's pretty good.
That's the one I like.
Yeah.
So far,
I think this one's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, if we look down it, it's probably got some weirdness, but like
it will have some weirdness, and we know why it has weirdness. Like this one here, for instance, is a good highlight of why the weirdness comes in with image generation AI right now, and it's because when you have characters in it, it cannot do text. It will totally just ruin text. If you actually zoomed in on this, it doesn't.
Famous plug for here in Winston-Salem, which is like in our area. We're in between Winston-Salem and Greensboro. Texas Pete is made here, and that's a bad bottle of Texas Pete there.
It is. It's kind of like it is. I agree. Yeah, it is.
So Garner Food Company is right down the street from here, and they make Texas Pete hot sauce. So if you've ever heard of that, I'm sure you have.
Well, I don't know what's in some of these containers back here. It doesn't really matter because I kind of like this one. You want to go with this one? I like this one.
Yeah, I like that one. I like the way it's framed too.
Yeah, I do too. It has like a good look. Yeah, so we're just going to roll with the first one. So here, all I'm going to do is going to press U1, and basically that upscales image number 1, so we get kind of a better version of image number 1 here. And there we go. They give us that. They gave us that singular version. Okay. I'm going to open that up.
It's got spaghetti on there. What is that other? Okay, whatever.
Save this. Go here.
I guess that's Mexican food. I guess it is. I mean, I don't know. The other one looks sort of spaghetti-ish, but like we'll go with it.
I think it's supposed to be rice under there. It's Mexican enough for our purposes.
It's Mexican enough. It's close.
It's Mexican enough.
All right.
Okay.
So you saved it out, and so what would you do now? You'd have to send that to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to do the other images too while we're here?
Let's do the other one. So in our menu, Kevin, I've got tacos, burritos, and quesadillas. So we're just gonna have 3 of them. So if I can get 3 pictures of tacos and 1 of quesadilla and 1 of burritos and 1 of tacos.
Okay.
And street tacos would be better.
I don't think it doesn't. It won't differentiate that.
We don't want that hard shell stuff, man.
It's not that smart.
Not in my restaurant. We don't serve hard shell tacos, man.
Let's see what we get. These have been generally pretty good when it's created.
Conan 30 says I use it for its intended purpose to generate funny cat videos.
That's what Paul's using it for.
Yeah, that's what Paul is. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's working on it. Is that done?
No. You can see it here. Look, see the percentage?
Okay. Yeah.
It gives you a percentage. It'll hit 93 next, then it'll finish.
Okay.
So you can kind of see it generating as it's getting better.
Yeah. It's like bringing back those old movies, where they're enhancing the image and the criminal sitting there, and he's got 5 minutes before he's found out. So,
yeah. Which one do you like? These are all pretty good. This one's got a person in it, look too.
Wow. Okay. So let's take that one
back here too. Look. You like this one?
Show hands?
No, it doesn't.
I think so. What do you think?
I'm good with any of these. They're all pretty good.
All right. You can see it better than I can, so pick one you like.
Good. Let's go. So this is 3, so we'll upscale 3, and we'll see.
Let it upscale. Now we need a quesadilla.
Okay. Let me grab this one. Let's just call
Okay, not bad.
this
Got some lettuce.
taco.
Doesn't have radishes on it though, so it's not a true taco.
Yep.
But that's okay. That one in the middle got shortchanged there. You know, you'd send that one back. That didn't look like there's much in. Yeah, that fourth one, the one in the middle there is looking kind of slim.
We asked for 3 and it gave us 4 too.
Yeah, it doesn't know
actually,
numbers.
That's another thing. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do well with numbers.
No numbers.
It does not do well with numbers.
That slim taco there, you know, I need to send that back.
We'll do a quesadilla. And then also, while we're doing that, I'm going to run the other one too, just for the sake of time here too, because you can run them at the same time as well. And then we'll.
Bree says the tacos look good.
They do. It does this pretty good, and I'll tell you why it does this pretty good too. It's because it has lots of pictures. Exactly, there are tons of pictures of tacos online that it's basically fed into its source material, and it's been trained on lots of pictures of tacos, which is why it doesn't do well with pictures of Bigfoot, which we were talking about on Twitter earlier in the week. It doesn't do well because there aren't lots of pictures of Bigfoot.
Yeah. All right. So we got a burrito coming in.
Yeah, burritos coming in. The tacos or the quesadilla is.
Look at that thing, man! It's doing them in.
What is
asynchronous?
This one's good. Yeah, it does.
And we'll take the ones with the avocados.
I like this one.
There.
Yeah, I like this one. So that's 3 again. 3. We'll upscale that one. Burritos are almost done here. Basically, I'll grab these and then I'll.
Every time we've done burritos, it has a problem with burritos.
Burritos are kind of interesting. Yeah. And it's to do.
Yeah, look at that one. It's like a foil wrap.
Exactly. So that's what. But don't forget, again, it's training imagery. Is because they're wrapped in foil a lot. So this one's like wrapped in foil and then baked, which is really weird. This one's pretty good though.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
This one's pretty good. I like this one. This one looks kind of strange because it's not very good photo. But this one's actually pretty good. Let's do U4. Okay, so let me go ahead and grab this. Browser, we'll save. No, save this. Call this one. For the sake of time.
And then he says that he thinks the photos look a little too smooth. Yeah, I agree with you. They're cool, and they're sort of realistic.
Yeah, the way we're going to use these though, like they're going to be realistic enough. Put it that way.
Right.
You know.
But I do agree that as it gets better, there's a thing called the uncanny valley, especially with human faces and people, that it can. You start looking at it, and when you start really examining it, like, okay, that's definitely generated. But it hasn't quite got to 100% yet. I don't know how long it'll take there. And then when you're doing things like food, when you think they should be real, once you start really diving into it, it doesn't look exactly right. It's cool on first pass, though. It's pretty amazing. And if you compare it to DALL-E 2, it's not even close. Midjourney is the best one out there right now. It's not even close. You couldn't generate anything with DALL-E 2 like this at all. Or at least we couldn't.
Yeah. Let me open up Teams. I'll send you this on Teams here.
And Martin says Russia food never looks like it does in the pictures. Exactly. They're using Midjourney.
Probably.
So, this is the other problem you have when you say, I'm going to use AI to generate restaurants, or I'm going to use AI to generate this. Typically, if you were shooting if you're doing websites for restaurants, for example, you would probably shoot the photos, or actually have them shoot it.
Yeah, you would expect that to happen, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So I'm going to download this.
Yeah, I just sent you that.
Okay. Let me see here. Let me look at it. I got it.
Damn, I'm hungry now from looking at those images. I'm absolutely not hungry due to having a cold. Oh, sorry.
All right. Okay, so I've got the images here. So let me share my screen. We'll go back to coding land here.
Yeah, go for it. Martin says I'm making everyone hungry. Tea time in the UK. It's almost coming up on lunchtime here, so I'm hungry myself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Kevin sent me these photos, and I'm just going to show you kind of the work process here. So like, and I am on a VM here. So it has to like not as fast as it should be. Not sure why.
I don't know. Just to say, like, yeah, how good do you think it'll be in 2 years? I think image generation will actually be really good in 2 years. I think it'll be, well, I say it's going to be better than it is now. We've seen in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot go from the original DALL-E to where we are now. So I think the image generation is definitely going to get better, because I think the way that it works can get better. For ChatGPT though, I'm not so sure. I don't know. I don't know where we're going to be in 2 years with that. I think it'll have to change fundamentally for it to be generations better, like the image generation is getting better.
Yeah. So I'm going to call my folder image, and I'm going to drag your photos in here. So this is the only way that I can get these in here. Oh, these are in it. It won't do it out of a zip file. Let me explode these.
No, this is definitely a point, John. Debugging something ChatGPT builds, yes, it will be horrifying.
It's a problem. Especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Because it takes like 18 different approaches. Every time you ask it, it'll take a different approach to building the thing out. One of the early versions we messed with, like and we may even see it today. We asked it to add a new section or something, and it's gonna it'll start using like Grid or Flexbox, or just it'll take a totally different approach. And when you start looking back at the code, you're like, wow, what was it thinking there? It's almost like the only way to debug it is to have the context it was built with and then have it debug itself, because it's the only one that understands how it was built.
So I tried to give it a hint. So I know I'm running out of prompts. So I know with some, see what it does here. And we'll make this bigger here and see if it works on it. Go, ChatGPT, go. So now we got to start making style sheets, because I want a background image.
Okay.
Which again, because it's going to generate styles, that means it's going to run into the character.
Is it generating the whole thing again?
Yeah, it will. That's what it does. So think about this. So if you're coding on this and you're working with 3 or 4 people, and we're trying to use prompt engineering to do this, it's generating complete files every time. So merging this together on a team is going to be a problem. So those are some of the inventions that need to happen. And we do have GitHub for these things, but this is just it's just going to be a problem. So we're going to try to take it as is and let it roll. So that looks pretty decent, I think, other than the fact that it's an inline style.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but that's just going to be something.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. I'll just take the header. I'll take that.
Okay. Well, hold on. Don't take the whole header, because that CDN is going to be wrong again.
Yeah, so we'll just take the style here. Actually, that's right.
Oh, is it?
It remembered. Yeah, it remembered.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just take the header here. And it says, okay, so it said banner section, hashtag banner section. So hopefully that's what it's called. Let's just see if it works. All right, so I'm going to go here. And you notice how much I'm having to change this. So it's not the best in the world. I got 2 head tags in there. Look at that. That's a problem. Where that came from.
Did it do that, or did you do that though?
I could have done it. I mean, but that would be a problem if you don't know about HTML, where you can you can cause problems. So let's look and see what it did. I think that's what we called it before. So there you go. Cool.
There we go. Okay, got something interesting.
Okay. So we got a banner image. Okay, not bad. What else should we do to this, Kevin? What do you think? You're the designer. So like, what should we do to this?
We need to see more of that banner image.
So make this taller, you think?
Yeah.
Half a page or full page?
Let's just go half a page. Why not?
Okay. All right. And then maybe this is a weakness in ChatGPT where it tells you about it. It's taken up its characters, so it's like it's mansplaining everything to you. So like if it just give you the code, don't tell me about it, just give it to me.
Well, I guess it depends. If you don't have the specific, if you don't know the specifics, then just the code on its own and don't know what to do with it, then it's that's you're implying something that makes it way more difficult. Because the idea and don't forget that what people are telling you is you don't have to know how to do this; it'll do it for you. You can make $1 million overnight with making websites. Like
it's hard. It's hard. And also, too, the other thing is, I haven't looked at the comments lately, so feel free to comment on this, if we're doing it wrong. But what I would say is this is low on the totem pole. This is not a really complex thing that we're asking it to do just to build a landing page.
I think it's extremely. It doesn't get any more basic, does it? I mean,
no, I don't think so.
We're not asked for any JavaScript in this at all. We're only HTML and CSS. We've asked it to use Bootstrap, which is the most complex thing that's anything on this page, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over here, and now I'm going to replace my head tag again.
Gonzalo says you can ask for code only, so try that next time.
Okay, code only. I like it. So we'll go over here and look, and so that's better.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Can we put that in the center of the image?
So I think one thing we should do is put it obviously in the center here, and then maybe blur the background. Is something I would normally do. I would especially when I have a really sharp image like this, I would blur it.
Yeah.
Using something like that. So, and I'm not trying to ask it things that it can't do, but it's going to struggle with this, but that's okay.
Oh, it'll get this.
Center the text in the banner section and blur the image.
Okay, so it might get. I'd say ask it one at a time.
I would say
ask it only one at a time because you are going to confuse it with that. I think.
Well, I'm going to run out of prompts. So, but all right,
okay.
we'll just. I'll do this. All right. You saying it only can do one thing at once?
Well, yeah.
No, it doesn't know what code only is. It's got to tell me.
Yeah, Gonzalo. So what's the prompt you give it to ask to get code only?
I would imagine that works some days and some days it doesn't. Okay, so it's using a flex box. Okay, flex center, flex direction column.
Okay, so here's my question. Could you have done this with Bootstrap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bootstrap's built on Flexbox, so I could have, definitely with the class items. But, sometimes it's better you can put it all in here because all this stuff is adjacent to it. So, I mean, I use, when I'm really doing this for real, I'm using a mixture of CSS classes in Bootstrap and CSS, depending on how I feel that day. But like you definitely have deflex and justify content and line items inside of for classes inside of Bootstraps. It's built on Flexbox.
Okay, John said that it would have done both. By the way, just for future if you want to try two on the next. Like when I said like just do one, it would have done both apparently.
Ooh, so code only.
Next time, let's
just gave me the style tag. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's just the style tag. All right, so I can copy this code now. Again, I need to pay attention. I almost got rid of my banner there. I would have been in my header tag. I've been in trouble. So it's inline style. I could ask it to make this into a style sheet, but I'm not for now. So let's see.
Oh no, Martin, we were saying like just code only in terms of we don't want the explanation around it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, because we're trying to eliminate what it's doing. All right, so that didn't work. It did make. That didn't work. Banner section. Let's make sure that it's called banner section. It is.
Tell it didn't work. See what happens.
Okay, I'm gonna quit trying to fix it. All right, so
yeah, don't try and fix it. That's not your job here. The AI is supposed to fix it.
It is the text is not centered.
Make sure you tell it vertically.
Oh, vertically. See that? I mean,
Is
it's
this going to
got
say
the right flex direction in there. It's justify content item center. So we just have to look at it and see kind of what it's doing. And the point isn't that I can fix it. It's the point is that this should be able to fix it. Oh, now look at what it did. It went Bootstrap on me.
Oh,
that's funny.
That was my original point, wasn't it? Like, hey.
Let's see what it does. It didn't eliminate the other styles, though, which is weird. All right. So I've removed the display line items from the style and added the corresponding Bootstrap user classes to banner section. Okay. So it removes some stuff.
Okay.
All right. So let's go back over here and see if we can get this done. All right. So this is the bootstrappy way.
Okay.
To do it, where you can have a deflex, turn it into flex box justify center.
Which, by the way, it didn't tell you to remove that other style, did it? Or did it?
It did.
Okay, it did. Okay.
But it was, I've removed the display, justify content, align items, and flex direction from the style. Display, align items from the style. So I've got to do that. Okay.
This time. Come on. Let's go, ChatGPT. Let's get this.
Let's go, ChatGPT. No.
All
right, so we're going to give up at this point. Let's see if it can blur the background.
You did refresh it, right? It is definitely the correct version.
Yeah. And we'll just make sure that it's saved over here. So what happens when you save it? It refreshes over here when you make a change.
Okay. Oh, that's a live server thing.
Yeah. So it's not there. So let's blur the image here. Blur the background image. And you see how long this is taking? It is 1 o'clock. And I'm trying to add a banner image to a page. Blur the background image on the banner section. If you got a question about this, feel free to ask it while this is generating, because this is like riveting television. So let's see what it does here.
I think this will work first time.
Ooh, look at what it did. Added the flex box back in. So I know that this will sort of work. But it's not going to work great because it used a pseudo element. It's going to make a line around it. It's kind of lame, but like whatever, we'll take it. Because I know that I can. Never mind. I'll just take it.
Just let it do what it's gonna do. Just forget,
I know
because
I don't know anything,
here.
right?
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm doing. So like and then it added this display flex back in here. So we'll see what it did.
Break it all together.
It's gonna break it.
Oh, it repeated it. Okay.
What? But
somehow tiled the image over the what? That's not even the banner section.
Just take these out. It's not supposed to be there. Freaking A, man. What did it do? Absolute background image inherit. All right, so I know the answer. I sort of know the answer. Use background filter. Use.
This is funny because Bobby says
it's worse than the other time when it's worse.
Ben said you're gonna need the rest of the day to do this himself and redeem his time, and then Paul said, Paul has the comment of the day. After you're done, ask it to refactor your code and make it better. Like is it gonna
I'm trusting this dude. Yeah, like that's what happens, when the junior dev turns in the code and it breaks everything, you send it back to him and say, refactor this, make it better. Like, whatever, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's see what it did here. It's going to add that flex back in there, backdrop filter. That's what it should do, but it has to be on a div above it. Well,
I think everybody in the chat, Bobby, is sensing your you're annoyed with ChatGPT at this point.
ChatGPT's getting fired here in a second. You know.
Oh.
Now it's centered.
Oh, hey, there we
blurred.
Go. Hey, but it fixed the centering issue.
Yeah, it fixed it, but it's not blurred. The reason is the background filter has to be on the div, and then you address the other div behind it. So like I can fix it, but like screw it. You know,
that's not the point. Yeah, the point is not you don't.
It doesn't work. All right, so let's add some menu items here. Let's move on, and so let's add 3 menu items.
So hold on, Ben just super chatted us, by the way. He said, "Please go get tacos and experience some type of bliss for the day."
Quesadillas.
Thanks, Ben. We super appreciate it. Maybe next time I should make this thing, like, you know, not knowing what on earth I'm doing half the time.
This may work pretty good. In my tests, this has worked pretty good. But I do know what I'm doing. So like I have modified a little bit.
Right.
It used cards this time. And that's the thing that I don't like about this in general, is that its approach changes if you regenerate it. And before, sometimes it uses cards, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, which comes back to what somebody said earlier about the like fixing errors in it or refactoring it or whatever. Like working with code that's been created by something like ChatGPT is just insane.
Well, you can fix it if you know what you're doing, but like if you don't,
yeah, but you get confused. But it can be confusing in, like, you know, because you've got years and years and years of experience. Even an intermediate person, if it has 3 approaches to layout in it, you're going to be like, which part is this working? How does this using? Like, I understand, like, Flexbox, when you combine it with then using Grid and Bootstrap, and each section is laid out differently, I'm like, it's confusing.
Yeah. So, cool thing is, maybe code only did work in a way that it's remembering that for us. So,
because it's only doing the
sections at a time.
Specific section. That's interesting.
But to do this, you got to know where to put this. I mean, like, you know, so this is the menu section.
Here's a good point too. We'll probably redo another video at some point. So once they make it for coders, it might be better. So we're probably going to do a video when we can get Copilot X, when you can get closer to the, like, when you can bring it in and it be closer to context. That's probably going to make for a much better tool, I think.
Yeah, so like let me just show you real quick. Like, so like I've got Copilot on right now. So like if I type in section here, I might can get it to generate some stuff here. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it don't make a suggestion, sometimes it won't. Never mind, it won't do it. This whole demo sucks.
But I'm talking more about Copilot X when there's a full chatbot in it anyway.
Yeah, so let's look at what it did. It said taco. It put a taco image in there, which is kind of cool. And then it called quesadilla, and this is, you called yours gase. So I'm gonna have to rename this. So
I was wondering what probably ask.
Well, it's gonna be the wrong image.
Well, right. Well, I was wondering if it would, because it doesn't know, right? That's why I didn't do the whole thing, because I wanted to see what it was going to do.
Yeah, actually, all the images are wrong because they have PNGs. They're JPEGs. So like, I'm going to just pick the image that we want here. Again, I'm having to code this up because I know what I'm doing, and I just want to eventually get some result out of this stupid thing. So. All right, let's see what it did.
It wrote pretty good descriptions for them. I like that. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
I think that's pretty good. That's the best bit so
Pretty
far.
good. Let's see. Got to test it on mobile.
It's going to stack them, surely. There you go. Oh,
so that's an iPad Mini and then an
looks
iPad
good.
Pro.
Look
Okay,
at that, responsive and everything.
Yeah, Bootstrap's pretty cool. Flip it.
Yeah, I like that. That's actually pretty good.
All right.
That's the best.
So nice job, ChatGTP. All right. So now what we can do is say add. I want to add a price to each. I feel like I have to be specific. I may not have to be, but like when we're out of prompts.
What does it do when you run out of prompts? Just does it give you an error message if you hit the prompt?
I guess it just says, it should have a countdown right here in the upper right corner. You have 8 prompts left.
Well, don't forget, it is weighted too. So it says 25, but 25 is a guess. So if it's under low load, you get more. If it's under high, you get less.
Okay.
So
I gotcha. I should have told it what the image names were so that I could use this code verbatim, but I won't be able to.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll have to change them back again.
What did you ask it to do?
Instead of like coming here and just changing this card body,
Yeah.
It'd be kind of weird.
Yep. Well, again, this brings up my point of if you're going to use the AI, you have to keep it in context. You can't change something on your own. This is why when it's closer to it and Copilot X is baked into it, this is going to be easier to do. It's because you keep. Well, it is because it's going to have context. It's literally in the context of the thing. It will understand. It'll know your file structure. It'll know your file names, and it will have the correct context. No question.
Well,
if it doesn't, it's useless.
We'll see if it does it. Like you're giving it lots of magic powers.
No. I'm not. That's not magic. I think that's just fact. I think if it doesn't do that, no one's going to use it.
Yeah. 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 All right. So I'm going to have to go back and change my images here again. I know that. So taco. And then any questions from the crowd while I change these images out?
No. Just everyone says that we deserve tacos today.
And then what I've noticed too is like what I always told one of my bosses when I was a young consultant, coding's not a spectator sport, man. Why are you over my shoulder?
Yeah, why are you guys even here watching this? What?
So like tacos $3. Hey, it got priced. That's kind of right. A quesadilla could be, whatever. That isn't spelled right. How do you spell quesadilla? Did I spell it right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, and then burritos $8. Okay, that must be a hearty one.
I don't know. That's a cheap burrito these days. That's
we're in inflation land. These things are $12.
Exactly. My favorite joint in San Diego. It's like a $10 burrito.
And then this is a $5 taco.
That's expensive.
They're really good. Yeah. Really good. All right, so let's see what we got here. And then boom. Okay, so now let's go back to big screen so we can see kind of what it did. So that's kind of cool, right?
That's cool. I like that. Yep.
All right. This is hard to read. It can't blur that background. I can fix it, but that's not the point. So we made a website, Kevin.
I love it. I'll take tacos, I guess. Give me 3.
That's $15.
Hey, that's good because we got Ben super chat at $15. So thanks, Ben. I'll take the. I'll take 3 tacos.
And that one in the middle there, that little skinny one, we can send it back.
It's a bonus taco.
Say, hey, man,
no, you've only asked for 3. We've got 4. Look. So
yeah, you got to put some meat in that thing, man.
But we only ordered 3, so it's whatever's above 3. 3 is free.
Clearly, this one's chicken, and this is not whatever that is. I don't know what that is there. So that mystery meat one, that's what we got. It's got a chorizo or whatever it's called.
Chorizo.
Yeah. And a chicken taco. So, all right. We'll ask some questions real quick. I could do more. My point, I think, is really I could really prompt in here and try to, like, for example, I could improve this. Like, let's see if it can do it. Round the edges of the menu picture. Round the edges of the menu items.
See, I think this is where it kind of does do well, because you're asking it to do one very specific thing in context, and this part will work. I think this is where it does kind of shine. If you ask it to do like more or less granular things, it doesn't do as well.
Yeah. So it works pretty good in the micro, not so good in the macro.
Yeah. Which is why I think getting it started is difficult. You're asking for this whole website, and it hits that character limit. And it's like, if you'd have asked it for a header, then a main section, then a footer, maybe it was able to throw that together. But then you've got to understand how to throw it all together still.
Yeah. It's working on it. So basically, it's saying it's using the rounded class here, and it's just going to add the rounded class to this image here. And that'll work. That'll round them up. So it did use Bootstrap for that, which is kind of cool. But if I didn't know what I was doing, I would end up copying all this. Right. That's what I would do. Even though it told me, I can tell you just from experience of teaching people to code, like you can say, hey, just add the rounded class. And early on, they're like, I don't know what you mean.
Right.
Whereas when you talk to a seasoned coder, say, hey, just add rounded to all the images and it'll round them out. And they would know because the coder has context. So this is going to be difficult. So I'll just copy this code here and just change the entire thing, just like it said to do. And I'll change my images back again. This is awesome. It's a great experience. The workflow is amazing.
Well, you should have told it what the images were. Like
my fault, right? Yeah, I should have told it. Let's check out our taco site. There we go, Kevin. Rounded images.
There we go. Nice.
Could have rounded just the tops, but like that's okay. We'll take it. That'd be fine. It's rounded there. We got a phone number, and we got our street address.
Yeah, please don't show off for tacos because there aren't any there.
Well, if you go here, these guys will sell you a pair of eyeglasses.
Oh, is that the address next door?
Yeah, exactly. Our friend next door, funny. So from VisionWorks. So, but yeah, that's ChatGPT. What do I think? In general, it's like
put yourself back on camera. Okay. Go back to a 2-shot.
Yeah. In general, I think it's okay. I mean, like, can it help you with suggestions? Using ChatGPT in my workflow, I don't think wouldn't be for me. If it comes into the IDE and you have that chat interface, it could get better. Going back and forth between the things, I found it difficult to do. But I still find myself today, if I search for something, I'm still like Googling it because I get more context in and around it. So I don't find myself going to ChatGPT to just Google items. And I definitely don't want to keep it in sync with everything. So when you're coding, context is in your head, you know the context of your head, and you don't have to remember everything. You have to tell ChatGPT to remember everything. So every nuance, every little change that you make, you got to keep it in context if you want to use it. Because what we're saying is replacing developers. It's really hard to explain to someone, just add that class name to something if you've never done that before. Like, what do you mean? I can tell what the first week of coding here in a new bootcamp and a new cohort, the first time you see HTML, it does look, I'm sure they just look at it like just a bunch of characters on the screen. It's very like, I don't get it. Like, what is all this stuff? It's not even in English and it's hard to read. But what I would say is coding HTML with ChatGPT is a frustrating experience. I would much rather just type it in. So like, the other thing too, is let's talk about building a business. Let's say that me and you don't know how to code, but we think we can absolutely make great taco websites. We think there's a need in the marketplace. We've identified it, and we're putting our money together, and we're going to start a business, and we're going to own the taco restaurant business. We wouldn't use AI to do that. We would use Squarespace or one of the CMS builders.
Right. That's use a CMS, no question at this point.
You don't have to know how to code to do that. You have to know how to code to use AI to do this. And that's my point is like when you're saying supplanting developers, even for the easy stuff, we already have tools that blow ChatGPT out of the water as far as making websites. So Squarespace, Wix, Webflow, all those guys, it would take 100 years for ChatGPT to build things at that level. And when you start talking about like forms, back-end forms, it's already hooked into your Google Docs. There's just a lot to it that ChatGPT can't even approach to do. So I think it's always going to be relegated into helping me be a better IntelliSense, a better code completer, a better way to give me more code snippets that I can use and then turn and modify for. Building complete websites, complete apps is at this point science fiction with that.
Yep.
And then when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's going to get better. I'm sure people say it'll get better. It'll get better.
Literally the comment right here, you go, wait a few more years, Bobby. It will take over.
No, it won't.
This is a problem I have with this. You're giving it magic it doesn't have. You're attributing something, the unknown that you don't know about. Aliens could land tomorrow too, right?
So you see me as a seasoned explainer, like, how do you explain this to ChatGPT, which is like, I want a modern, really slick, cool-looking restaurant for my taco restaurant. Make it cool. And you're probably thinking, well, that's not a prompt. Well, I get that from client meetings. I need this to be modern, attractive, and represent our brand. Can you make a website for that? Here's our logo. And you have to take those kind of instructions, turn that into a wireframe, and then you have to make it cool, which is just, it's creative. And it's really hard to get to a website that would win an award from ChatGPT. Like, it's very difficult. You have to know stuff to be able to do it. Like, if you don't, good luck.
I have to put this. This is the same person that said, "Wait a few years, Bobby. It will take over. It will." Sorry, dude, but I'm gonna say you are delusional. You are absolutely delusional. Like, it doesn't make.
So don't give it magic.
Hold on, you may be joking about this, but trust me, there are people that are not, that don't joke about this. They're out here saying this like it's legit, and it's just not. Don't.
It can't publish. So you're saying, well, it could publish. It could. Could ChatGPT be wired up to GitHub through Git commands to publish? Yes. Does it today? No. Will that integration take place? Will they make a plugin for it? It's possible, but you have to be able to tell it what branch you want, what you have to. There's a lot to it to make it work. There's a reason we have DevOps as a profession. There's a reason why we build these complex pipelines. What I'm saying is, and Buzzle, is like, I'm trying to make a landing page. Just a landing page, man. Like, I just need a really cool landing page. I could have went to Theme Forest and got a landing page in 5 minutes and changed the address and had a website that blew this out of the water. And so, like, it's just the wrong tool for the job. When you say code complete websites, it'll publish, push it out, it'll work inside of Teams. It's just not possible at this point. And I don't see it ever getting there. The other problem we have is the underlying technology is also the problem. So you have LLMs that predict what the next character should be. And it does a pretty good job at conjecture. And so when people say it will be, just wait a couple of years, I'm like, it's already been trained on all of GitHub. What else can you teach it? Like, I mean, like, what else does it need to know to be able to do this? It's always going to guess at what the next line is. It has no concept of what this should be or what is in here. It really doesn't have context. And other than that, you gave me this document, or I generated this document, so this is what I know. And then people say, well, you just got to train it on your docs. How do you do that with ChatGPT? How do you train it on your docs? You can't feed it 10 gigs of data and say, here's my code base. Train yourself on that in the current iteration. What we're talking about is building my own LLMs. And somehow I'm going to put the chat interface on my own LLMs. That doesn't exist. I mean, that's a different product altogether. That doesn't exist. And they're just saying, is OpenAI going to do that? I don't think so. And if they do, they're going to charge you a lot of money to do that. So the question is, why would you do that? Does the technology assist you to create your own LLMs? Yes, but not without coding. And so, like, I think always it's going to get to like where you think it's going to be. close, but you're always going to be coding. I think you will. And then on top of that, go ahead. Yeah.
I have a question for you, because Gonzalo said you got a landing page, even when you were using it almost as if you didn't know anything. So my question to you, Bobby, is, would you present that landing page to a customer ever?
Heck no. Put it this way. And let me just say this in all seriousness. This landing page wouldn't pass coming out of Coder Foundry. Like, we would look at that and we're like, you need to do some work on that. That's awful. Like, in my opinion, what we built is awful. It has a header. It has some menu items, but it's awful. Can I order from that website? No. Can I hook it up to Grubhub or DoorDash or any of those things? No. How do I do that? ChatGPT doesn't know how to do that. It can make a button, and then you've got to figure out the JavaScript behind that to do that kind of stuff. Could you ask it about DoorDash, the API? Yeah, if it was made since 21 and it hasn't changed since then, maybe it can do it. I haven't tried it, but you're asking it, you're giving it a lot more power than it has. What I would say to you is, I think you're safe to learn how to code, because these things will always require developers to do it. The other thing that you're saying, I act like I don't know anything. I was asking it questions because I knew about Bootstrap. If we put my grandmother in front of this, who, God rest her soul, she's not here, but like, if she was, I don't think we could even write the first prompt. It'd be really hard.
We wouldn't even know where to start. Yeah.
Wouldn't even know where to start. And when we're talking about replacing devs, I'm not saying it's not useful. It is useful. It's kind of cool. Like, it will be helpful if you put the chat interface inside of Video Copilot. If you put Copilot X inside of VS Code and get it closer to the code, will it have context on it like you were talking about? I don't know. But I do think it could at least set the insertion point where the snippet could go. I think it would be able to do that. I don't know if it knows where the cursor is blinking, insert it there. We'll just see how the interface, I don't know what it's going to do, but I don't think it's going to know about the page you're working on. So, so here's some other things that I think it's pretty good at. You can ask it certain script things in JavaScript or PHP code, and it can create those kind of things, but you're still going to like integrate that into the larger overall solution.
Right.
If we try to build a really complex website like a bug tracker from ChatGPT, it's impossible. You can't use that tool exclusively to build anything.
I wouldn't say impossible. I would say that it's nearly impossible, just because it's going to get so convoluted.
Like somebody, but like I would say, even then, the guy that actually says, "Hey, I did it with ChatGPT," would know a lot about coding to begin with. Like if you took just random person off the street and said, "Build me a web page, a taco restaurant web page," I think they would have a hard time, because we have to take it out of ChatGPT, number one, and get it into editor. They wouldn't know how to do that. I know that even training people how to make a folder inside of on their computer is a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Cut and pasting is a problem. I was using commands like Control-C, Control-V. We have to teach that sometimes to students coming in the cohort. So the things that you as a developer take for granted, or you need to really start thinking about it. Like, you take a lot of things that you do with just muscle memory for complete granted. And then when you remove all of that knowledge and try to do this, it's really difficult. There's just no way. The people that are saying to replace this, I guarantee you they've never built a web page.
Right.
It's just not.
We've kind of proved that, because that's what we're talking about at the beginning, is that we don't, people that say they've done this, we either don't see the result or we don't see the process. And one of those two things, either it's really bad, or the process means that they've brought in a whole bunch of prerequisite knowledge into the thing and used it and built something that's good.
Yeah. So if you watch the OpenAI demo, which is a scripted demo from the company itself, and they made the joke website, I will say my taco website that we generated today is better than that. It was pretty awful. Now they're saying it took it from a cocktail napkin into that, but like, it's still not great. And I think our website isn't that great. It could be a lot better.
Yep.
So, I mean,
there's a lot to this. It's great tools. It's great tools, but they are just
going to help. But I think it's always going to get up close to where it can help you type faster, help you enter code faster, maybe solve a certain thing faster. But man, if you want to be a 10x yourself with AI tools, you need to be a good coder to begin with.
Yeah.
Like even the minor things that you saw me do, like changing an image path on an image tag, like the amount of stuff that you have to know to do that. I know that I'm not like saying I'm the most smartest person on the planet, but I'm saying I know what an image tag is. My eye goes immediately to it, and bam, that's wrong. In fact, I knew that the CDM was wrong from Bootstrap. The moment it wrote it, I'm like, that's wrong. That ain't right. I know that's wrong. It's like, but the average person wouldn't know. Not to mention, would even ask to do Bootstrap to begin with. Half the reason why this looks good is because we did use a CSS framework to begin with.
Right. You had to tell it to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
We had to tell it to use Bootstrap. If you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, and there's.
I would say if you want to test this as a give it to one of your friends as a non-developer. Ask your non-developer friend to create a web page for a taco joint. See what they come up with. Don't help them. You can't guide them. Don't forget, you got to be like your clean environment. So, you can ask them to build this thing and see what you get.
The other thing too is like, just think about this. I had VS Code installed. I had Live Server installed. I have I have Copilot installed. All my tooling set up on my machine to be a coder. Like the guy coming in
to just generate the code.
Yeah, he's just going to open up his laptop, and just say, okay, ChatGPT, baby, make me a website. What do I do with that? Well, you got to put it in your code editor. What is that? And so you end up prompting about coding and about things and about environments and how do I set that up? Where do I get that from? How do I publish it? It could tell you how to publish it. It could tell you how to publish it to Netlify. And it looks like those instructions are correct when I asked it. The problem is it does hallucinate and things change over time. And it can be wrong. And when it's wrong and you don't know anything, what do you do? And that's where all of this falls apart, is like when it makes a mistake, what do you do? And people say, I'll just ask it to refactor. But what do you ask it? For example, I get an unfinished HTML document. It doesn't have an ending body tag and an ending HTML tag, and then the thing's all screwed up and it doesn't look right. What do you do? How would you know what to ask? Make this better. Fix it. I mean, like, is that the prompt?
Yeah, fix it.
This doesn't work. It'll say sorry and then just generate the same thing back to you. So like, it doesn't know. And I think you're going to have to learn how to code. I would say if you want to be a developer, learn to code right now. I think you're safe for easily 10 years. Easily 10 years. The other thing that people don't know is once this becomes easier to do, and if you look at just coding since 1995, the easier it got, the more complex the things we would build. And so if we're going to start generating or using AI tools to generate large swaths of boilerplate code, then the things that we can build are become more complex because now we have time to build those and the bar will go higher. Oh, now that you can do that, let's do this. Because the moment someone put a website up and they had to submit a form, they're like, man, what if that form could go in a database? How did we do that? What if I don't want to submit the whole form out? I want to just like submit one element of that form. What would I do? How would we do that? And this is where these inventions came through, and we ended up with where we're at today with JavaScript and React and Angular and ASP and databases on the back end and JSON as an interchange format. The HTTP spec itself is involved, so where because of the things got easier to do, we started building more complex things and we needed more out of it. And now we're seeing the transition away from even websites where we're going to say, hey, let's look at WebAssembly. Let's look in what other things can we do in WebAssembly. And so I know people think I'm like always touting Blazor, but like when you're starting to hear Google talking about like the things that they're going to put in the browser itself. Why can they do that? Because they own Chrome and they think they can put Bard right inside of the browser with WebAssembly. It's kind of cool. But it's not going to replace coders. All of these things will be built by developers. So anyway, any questions? I'd be glad to talk to anyone about it.
No, we ran over by a ton.
That's my rant. Yeah, that's all right. But if I got some questions, we'll put a last one there. What's 80% isn't good odds? What are they talking about?
Well, I was talking about this right here. You said it didn't work. This happened, or I have the error message. 80% of the time it works. If not, then you Google or try some things. But overall, GPT saves a lot of time and allows you to do more.
Well, I would say, Gonzalez, if you think that I can't build this in less than an hour, like I'm telling you, it didn't save me time. It and in some senses, it will. Like it can give you a snippet of code that you can integrate. But in order to make it save you time, I think you're going to have to know how to code to begin with. You can't approach this with no knowledge whatsoever and expect it to build your hopes and dreams on, I'm going to be a prompt engineer. It's just not going to happen. And what I'm trying to do is tell everybody that really what they need to do is you're going to have to know a lot about HTML to build a website. You're going to have to know a lot about CSS to build a website, JavaScript, and a back-end coding language. And,
right. And then you can use these tools. Right. Then you can use these tools and 10x yourself.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want
10x it, like whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. Like
right.
I hear people saying that all. It's going to turn everyone to a 10x developer. Like, what does 10x mean? Like, what does that mean? In general, the way this works in the industry is they give you a problem and you can solve it. And then you can get that problem solved and put it in code and publish it and get people using it. And if you think that Salesforce is going to just use prompt engineers to build Salesforce, it's not going to happen. American Airlines is not looking into prompt engineering for everybody. I mean, like they're just not doing it. Will they give it as a tool to help them? Maybe, but like they're going to hire engineers that know what they're doing to begin with. And then whatever tools they use makes them better. And if you think that this is faster, you've never seen like a really experienced coder roll out and really do his job. I've seen it. And like, it's like way faster, like to code it yourself because you know the language and you're thinking in terms of the language. It's just easier to do.
Yeah, I don't think
IntelliSense has improved their life.
Yeah, I don't think it's about being faster. If you think that's the thing, that's not the thing. It's about being more. No. It's about being wider available to more people. That's the real game that you potentially.
And so, anytime you say this will take me 40 hours, now I'm going to do it in 10. You just and so therefore I'm going to have more time left. Maybe you may get more things to do. The point of all of this is the point of the company is to build the widget that we're trying to sell. However we build that is immaterial. We need to make sure that the code works and it does what it's supposed to do. And just because you're saying technically I can do it faster doesn't mean that they're going to lay off 30% of the developers because these other guys are doing more. They're just going to do more. The limit to a lot of the tech companies isn't the fact that I wish we could do less. They want to do more and they can't get to it because this other stuff takes longer. So if you're going to 10x yourself and you're doing 10 tickets a week or something like that, now you can do 100, and they're also discounting metrics like meetings and like fighting over what color the button is, like all those important
Nobody ever fights over the color of the button. Come on. Nobody ever fights over that.
My favorite one is that button needs an American flag on it. Why would we put American flag on that button? That was a 3-month meeting, eventually I had to like rebel and take it off because it was dumb. But like,
patriotic American button. Every site needs that. Every site needs that, especially financial site.
Every site needs a button with an American flag on it. What's that mean? It's America. Okay.
Let me Americanize
this. Does something, man. It saves something. It's not like saving the flag or the country. It's saving the transaction. So like,
that's funny.
Does it need an American flag on it? So the Red Ledger says 10x the paperwork. I like that.
That's probably true.
Exactly. So
probably true. So we'll be back next week. I don't know what we'll do next week. Maybe we can still talk about this again. Maybe I don't know.
The famous story of the American flag button. If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. So like, it was a real thing.
That's it. We're probably still we're going to be talking about this for a while. Obviously, as these tools come around, we're going to continue to keep kind of using them and then bring out kind of like our view on them. And it's just our view. Other people have other views, but it just that's it. We'll keep coming here, keep coming back, keep chatting with you guys, talking about this stuff. So
hopefully it was helpful.
We live in.
Maybe you watched it and you're like, okay, I see how that works now. I see what they're talking about. And you know what?
Play with it.
ChatGPT 5 comes out, we'll come right back, and I can tell you this, that I will never hide the fact to be right. I'll just say, it's better now. Like, this is what we're going to use. And how are we going to use this to propel ourselves into the industry? What are we going to do? Like, I've had to evolve multiple times, so like I can evolve on this, but I'm just telling you, man, you got a good 10, 20 years before they.
You got to make a choice based on today,
stuff.
don't you? That's what I think. You got to make a choice based on what the landscape is today.
Yeah.
Not shoot yourself in the foot because what you think it might be tomorrow.
And even if you're an expert coder with 10 years in the industry, a decade from now, and suddenly prompt engineering takes over, you're going to be the best prompt engineer there is out there. Right. The uneducated people will never be able to do this anyway on prompt engineering. You're going to have to know how systems work, how they're put together for it to work anyway. To where you say, build me a cool website as a prompt, and that's going to generate the cool website.
We're a chunk away from
that's
that.
Not happening.
No, I'm never going to say never. I told you this before. I'm never going to say never.
One sentence prompt, not the one sentence prompt that everyone says the magic thing. Build me a cool website. It's like you might as well just download a Themeforce template.
No, true, but maybe not. I don't know that, and that's my point is I don't know if that's going to happen or not, and I'm not going to make a decision on the fact that I think it is or isn't. I'm going to make a decision on the fact that it doesn't do it right now. Therefore, my choice is going to be based on that. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'm just saying the inventions required are astronomical.
But I will also say
a modern website.
But I'd also say if you'd have asked people about ChatGPT today 5 years ago, they'd have been like, "Nope, never." And here we are today. Yeah, so
they've been working on this for 10 years. They have been working on this AI.
But I would say if you ask my point is the common person, ask them 2 years ago whether we would get this AI thing today, they'd say no way, never.
Yeah.
So I'm never a never guy, but I'm just a live in the now guy. That's my.
I'm more like Mike Tomlin, the famous coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll never say never, but never. When he was addressing concerns, would he ever be a college coach? He says, "I'll never say never, but never." I just don't think in my lifetime we're going to see AI take over all of coding. I think there's always going to be developers. I think you're safe.
Well, I do too. No, I agree with that. I think there's always going to be. Yeah. I do agree with that.
It's always going to be
in our lifetimes for sure. Yep. So. Until we get AGI, which is a whole other conversation. Right.
And Martin says, "Build me an iPhone and upload it to the market."
Build me an iPhone and ship it to me. That's what I want.
Ship it to me.
Ship me. I want an iPhone 16. Let's just skip 15. Let's go straight to 16. I think the AI could do that. That's great.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. And it's never been more true. You need to keep coding. So
definitely. We'll catch you guys later.
Keep after it.
Bye.
See you.